All right, I think it's time for some dumb football questions here. Dumb football questions every single week. We pour through the YouTube comment section. You guys do a great job. Keep sending them in every single week, and we get to as many as we can. Let's start with Stuart Gonzalez Blank. By the way, friend of Purple Daily, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart,
for chiming in here on dumb football questions. This is for Agent Guy Jeremiah. What is in every NFL player's contract that the average fan doesn't know about? Like he mentions, are there death clauses? Are there like arrest clauses? Are there like, what are some random things that we don't talk about?
This is sticky slightly for me because a lot of that stuff's pretty confidential. I mean, what
about like boilerplate, like broad stuff?
I mean, I think that everyone might know this, but like the boilerplate one is basically like they tell you that if you want to go like skiing, snowmobiling, like any type of like extreme sport or any like basketball and you get hurt, they basically are like, we owe you nothing. Like not a thing. Like that is on you. Like it is your job to keep yourself in elite performance all the time. And if you don't, we can just cut you or put you on what's called purgatory, NFI, non-football injury, and you will just sit there and not collect a check, maybe not even collect medical benefits because it's your fault that you were under contract to play football and you went and decided you wanted to go hella skiing, right? Like that's a big one. And you have to really like hammer home that with your rookies and be like, I need you to understand, like if you decide you want to go play pickup basketball in the off season and you sprain your ankle, you could be toast, right? Like
is hella skiing an Olympic event? Am I going to see that on the Gold Zone channel?
I would love to see hella skiing on the Olympic event.
So how do you distinguish between a non-football injury and a football injury? Because like I could twist my ankle walking down the sidewalk.
Non-football injury. So if you're away from the facility, if you are away from the facility, it's a non-football injury.
So I'm a wide receiver.
Yep.
Well, let's use a real world example in Minnesota here. So like Adam Thielen, Carolina Panthers receiver, lives in Minnesota or has a house in Minnesota. So he's working out with like JJ McCarthy and some other, just a private workout on their own between OTAs and training camp. He twists his ankle playing football, but not at a team facility. It's just like a private workout.
Non-football
he didn't do
injury.
That, by the way, but okay.
Non-football injury, NFI. Not my fault. Not under my supervision, right? And that's why, I mean, a lot of guys we actually had a client last year who decided, hey, as a rookie, I'm just going to stay and work out down here at my team, right? Like, I'm just going to stay down here in the off season. This was that like 5-week summer break. Like, I'm just going to stay down here. I'm going to work out at the facility. I like what I'm doing, my thing. And he was just working out and had a freak kind of deal that ended up doing something to his knee. And because he was in the facility, on facility grounds, he went on IR, not NFI. If he would have been doing that,
back home,
if he would have been back home at a different gym and done that, they could have just cut him on NFI and not owed him a dime, not had anything to do with it. Right. And so they try and do that to be like, stay here so I can see you and I can control you and be around you. But like a lot of guys go, and just because it's such a double-edged sword, because you also have in the contract, you must maintain elite physical condition or we can cut you. Right. Like if we deem that you're not in physical shape and someone else is, and we can cut you at any time if you don't have any guaranteed money with it, or even if you do. But also like if you get hurt staying in elite physical condition, it's not our fault. Right. So like there's this like catch-22 piece in there as well. Another one is like every player on the team is mandated to do a certain amount of like events, like team specific events. Like they don't really enforce this one, right? But it's like, hey, you must do 6 events that we want to, whether it's like the Taste of the Vikings or like this event or a signing event or whatever. Like that's also written in the contract that there's a certain amount. And then the other one that I think people would be interested in is you're not supposed to go out and negotiate with a competing brand that is franchised with the NFL, right? Like it's you're supposed to do it in good faith and have like, if, for example, like if we're a Pepsi team, right, you shouldn't go sign a deal with Coke.
Okay.
Right. Like you should at least bring it to us first, allow Pepsi the first right of refusal. And then if we say no, then you can go to Coke. Right. But like that's another one that you have to be interested. It's careful too, because at the same time, you're your own entity. You can do what you want, but you do have to always kind of keep the shield above you at times with some of that stuff.
That's interesting. So, because like if Patrick Mahomes, who's the most, or Travis Kelce, like the most popular players, if they get an endorsement deal with because it would actually be a good strategy if you're a competing company looking to own a chunk of the NFL to just go to the individual players and capture real estate that way.
And then the last one is the group licensing agreement. I think this is, I mean, it's essentially saying that if a company wants to use NFL players in their branding, in a commercial and anything like that, if they use 6 or more NFL players, everyone gets a chunk of it because we signed the group licensing.
The whole league?
Everyone in the league should get a chunk of it, which is why you only see Maado, right? You get Mahomes and Kelsey. You'll never see more than 2 or 3 NFL players in a one campaign because they always, if they want to keep it individualized, have to keep it under the certain amount of NFL players. That's why you never see like a big NFL, like 10 players in a commercial, because that would technically then fall into the group licensing agreement, which means everyone would get a chunk of the pie, like Madden. Or like Madden's a big one. Everyone's in Madden, so everyone gets a chunk of the pie out of Madden.
Interesting.
And we get a check. We just get a check in the mail every year. You get a check in the mail every year. We used to call it the Madden checks, right? It's your group licensing agreement. Everyone's bought into this. Everyone gets a check.
Yeah.
It's the thing that Marvin Harrison
State
Jr.
Farm.
Yeah.
Well, can you have, so is it one commercial or is it like, let's say State Farm signed 10 NFL players, but they were scattered throughout
group
different.
Licensing. Nope. Group license. So that's why, like, if you've noticed, like, it was Aaron Rodgers and then it was Mahomes, right? Now it's Kelsey and Mahomes, and every now and then Herbert makes a guest appearance, right? But it's never a big group of guys.
Yeah. That's interesting. Let's go to Tony Owens here, who says, so I didn't see this in the last 48 hours because I'm kind of in Vikingsville for training camp details, but the Texans player who got popped for PEDs was Aubrey. So Tony Owens says, how plausible is it that when a player tests positive for PEDs, they actually had no idea how it got into their system, i.e., this player from the Texans?
You know, it actually is more likely that they didn't do it. They didn't do it on purpose, and they did because we get tested so much. Like, it'd be really dumb to think you could get away with taking actual PEDs, right? I think the one that guys get popped for that kind of roll the dice is if you do like an Adderall, a Ritalin, a Vyvanse, like that type of thing that like you bum it off a buddy, like that's considered a PED. But there are certain cases where you're taking a supplement, whether it's like Z or zinc or, you know, it's usually not one of those are like, but if it has some type of cross-contamination in it and it's got one of the banned substance on it and you take it, it is very clear in the substance of abuse policies and the PED policies, you are 100% responsible for what's in your body. Like, there is no arguing it. There is no appealing it. Like, there's none of that. You are responsible for what you put in your body. And so it'd be really dumb. I think that people who get caught for that stuff, it usually is mostly an accident. Like, a lot of times it's I didn't check the label. I didn't make sure it was NFS certified. I didn't do my due diligence. And there was one ingredient in this pre-workout powder that I take, or this post-workout powder, or this greens powder that had a bad substance in it, that it's on me. Like, I think I'd say 90% of the cases, that's the case. And then you have the 10% that maybe think, hey, I'm going to roll the dice. Maybe I can do a quick little stint of something here in the off season and they won't test me. But I'll tell you this, I got tested at least 3 or 4 times every off season. And
how did that work? Would like a person show up?
They call you and say, hey, you've been randomly selected by the NFL. When's the good time in the next 24 hours I can come out and see you? And he would drive up from Kansas City. It's the closest.
What if you were on vacation or something?
You have, so Dr. Lombardo, great guy, runs the whole thing. You can fill out like, hey, I will be out of country. It's your responsibility to report where you'll be at all times in the off season. Like, you have to say like, hey, like when I go on vacation to Mexico, like, hey, I'm going to be in Mexico from these dates to these dates. Or, hey, when I went to Europe, hey, I'm going to be in Italy from these dates to these dates. If you don't do that, like, they will send someone to you if you get popped, if you get called. Like, I've heard of guys that like, oh, I'm in Italy. It's like, well, you didn't say it, so we'll have someone over there come over and get your pee. Like, it's your responsibility.
They'll just call Martino or somebody.
Yeah, they'll find a company over there that will go over there and randomly drug test you. Right, like, and it was 1 year. So
I'm in Egypt. I'm Aaron Rodgers.
They'll find someone. They'll find someone. So like 1 year. So I roomed with my best friend Spencer Long. We played together in Nebraska. We lived together in Lincoln, in the off seasons. And I remember like I got popped on a Wednesday. It was like, hey, we got to get your piss. And I was like, all right, well, I'll be here at my apartment. Please show up as early as you can because I'll hold it all night so I can pee right when you get here. He came on Wednesday, and I remember because he was like, the dude from Kansas City's like 6'10". Like he's a very large human. And he showed up to my apartment, watched me pee in a cup, and then drove back to Kansas City. And then 2 days later, Spencer got popped. And so this guy comes back and he walks in. I was like, morning. And he's like,
hey, man.
oh, I'm back here? Like it was he's like, dude, I thought it was weird when it was the same address, like everything. I was like, nope, he was in that room and I live in this room. And like he had to come back to the same room twice to
You want
collect
to come
our
back
piss.
next weekend, too?
Yeah, like if you come back. He literally came to that apartment like 3 times over the course of 2-3 years.
Just knows his way around those
Dude,
angles in your bathroom.
That's a job I really am curious how you get into. Like, you know,
do
it's
you,
just
do
like,
you aspire to get into it?
that's what I mean. Like, how do you? I've never asked, and I've always thought about it. Be like, did you just grow up like I'm gonna watch guys piss in a cup? Like that's what I want to do.
Were you shooting for something a little higher on the scientific job chain?
But it's like they don't even do
just
the
where you're at.
testing. They're just the collectors. Like you know. And like, oh, I'm gonna take it to the lab and do the testing. Like they seal it right there, and then they're the ones that just like put it in the mail.
Do you remember that baseball player Ryan Braun who played for the Brewers? This is probably like early 2010. I think he won the MVP in like 2009 or 2010 or something. And it came out after he had this huge season that he got hit for performance enhancing drugs. It was kind of the end of a 20-year run where most baseball players now don't even try, but there were still some star players at the end of that era that were trying to sneak things through. And he was fighting it, and he went so far as to hold a press conference throwing the collector guy under the bus for like a tampered sample. He didn't store it properly, and he's trying to like throw this guy under the bus by name. And then it came out later. He's like, "Nah, actually, I did. I did take
I
a
went
human
right
growth.
into the arm and inject.
I ruined a guy's life trying to trample over him with my ego, but
he'll never work again. But then again, I'm sure that he probably got picked because I don't think there's a lot of people beating down that door to be like, I want to gaze at meat and watch guys piss in cups. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't understand how you like. There's got to be something better out there, dude. There's got to be like. People will be like, what do you? Oh, I work for the NFL. Like, oh, that's so cool. What do you do? Oh, I watch guys piss in a cup. Like, I don't know. Maybe you're associated with the NFL and it's cool, but I've never understood that.
As a former Viking, are you familiar with former running back Ontario Smith?
No.
From the early 2000s.
Negative.
So he was deemed, before his performance-enhancing drugs fiasco, he was deemed the sod, I think, of the 2003 draft, the steal of the draft. He emerged as this great rotational running back. And he got hit with, I don't even know if he got hit with a PED violation, but he got caught at the airport with a Whizzinator in his bag.
Is that the fake dick?
It's the fake dick that, I don't know how close your 6'10" guy was standing, but like if he's far enough away at an angle, you could maybe use the Whizzinator to
not
fill
anymore,
the cup.
Dude. I mean, it is the most invasive process. Like,
how close is he standing?
I mean, it is. All right, pull your pants down, like all the way down to your ankles. All right, lift your shirt up, spin around, like, all right, do a circle, and then angle yourself. Like, if you're the urinal, right? Like, I'm looking at the screen, it's like, angle yourself towards me so that I can watch it go into the cup. Like, I'm not kidding. This is not like a, hey, close the door when you're done, we'll come in and get it. Like, no, it's, I'm gonna watch. Right?
Does he help you shake at the end, or
no? And then like he watches you seal it, and then you have like you wash your hands, you hand it to him, and then away he goes. Like it's a very.
Do you shake hands afterwards in solidarity, or
I mean,
because now you kind of
like
this guy knows you a lot better than some of your college friends.
I mean, yeah, I mean, not really. Your college friends know you pretty intimately on that front.
Yeah.
But like, dude, the best was we went to the Big Ten championship in 2012. And we all got randomly selected. Like a bunch of us got randomly selected the night before the game. And this dude with a handlebar mustache. I mean, handlebar. And I'm not kidding, Mackey. When he was ready, he was like, all right, whenever you're ready. Like hands on his knees, like bent over.
Was he wearing like softball shorts or what?
Like jeans? He had jeans on, like in a Big Ten polo, and he just was like,
cut or lose.
Yep. Whenever you need some water,
drain the main vein.
But like, dude, there's a lot of guys that struggle to piss. And I mean, like, will struggle and will be there for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll just be housing waters. Like, and then all of a sudden they finally piss, and then the sample's too diluted because they've just drank so much water. Like, dude, some guys really, really struggle on piss tests. So yeah, that went down a hole.
Boy, that was. Yeah,
I wish Alex
Tony
was here for that, dude. I wish Alex. I guarantee you, Alex has some stories because like some dudes would mess with those guys. Like if they got popped, they just walk in there butt naked and be like, "Oh, it's my turn," and then you're just like, "Damn it!" Like
we should save this one and re-ask it for when
Yeah.
Tony comes back. Tony Owens, hopefully you got your money's worth on that answer there. And then I'll throw this one out, just a dumb football question from me here, or a dumb life question. So Boone headed to Cooperstown with the family, as we talked about. I did Cooperstown in 2001 for a Hall of Fame ceremony. It was great as a kid. What is a trip in the United States that would be next on your to-do list or your bucket list that you have somewhere you haven't been to that
I
could
haven't been to?
Yeah.
As weird as it is, I really would love to go to Maine. Like I've heard Maine.
That's number one on my list.
I've heard Maine is really, really cool. My wife went with her mom one time and she came back and just raved about it and said like the food was great, the scenery was great. Like it's kind of this forgotten area up in the northeast part of the country. Like Maine is somewhere I've never been and somewhere that I think would be a lot of fun to go.
Yeah, I feel like Boston's probably. I don't know that I've never been to Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, like that whole corridor up there. But dude, Maine would be. That's number one, like the upper Northeast. And then I know you played there. I've never been to San Diego.
So much fun, dude. San Diego, like, see, and I'm the other way. I'd like to go see the Bay Area. I've been up there for football. Like, I played, like, when we played the Niners, but I've never, like, I want to go see the Redwoods. Like, I want to see Alcatraz. I want to go see, like, the Golden Gate Bridge. Like, I want to go see that part of California because I've never been to Northern California. We're going to do a Napa trip for our 35th birthdays. So my wife's August 2nd, I'm August 8th. And so when we turn 35, we're going to do a big Napa trip because it'll also be our 10th wedding anniversary. Right? So, oh, that's not right. Is it right? I don't know. Somewhere in there.
Is next year 35 for you?
No, I turned 33 this year.
33.
So 2 years. 2 years. Yep. So.
Dude, that is. So I have family, my aunt and uncle, Aunt Sandy Mackey, longtime 49ers fan from the Joe Montana era, and they've lived in the Santa Rosa area for a long time. And my uncle, I believe, for a period worked for like the national parks, and so he would, and still even like before he got a little bit older, he would just take an RV out to the Sierra Nevadas for 2 weeks and just go and just live out in the mountains, in the forest areas. Man, if you get a chance, it is like from wine country over to like Bodega Bay, north of the main city area. And even, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to spend less time in the middle of San Francisco the last 5 years, but there's some areas around the edges, like obviously Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Some of the houses in those areas between, like in the Bay Area, it's some of the most ridiculous views, but you're talking some of the most insane houses too. If you just like to creep on real estate. So yeah,
are you an old 90s action flicks fan guy?
Huge.
Dude.
In fact,
my all-time favorite movie is The Rock.
Yeah.
With Nick Cage.
And Sean Connery.
Love. And I mean, like, my wife thinks I'm an idiot for it. That's like my all-time favorite movie. I can almost recite the movie like to a T. I watched it so many times with my younger brother growing up. Like, I love that movie. And so like that's a big reason why I want to go see Alcatraz too.
Something you and I have never talked about before is it's been like 2 years since we recorded an episode, but during the pandemic, when we were looking for things to do as a sports talk show, we used to do, like a 3-hour sports talk radio show. We launched a weekly podcast called Action Movie Rewind that we then turned into a podcast feed, Mackey and Judd movie reviews, or movie reviews with Mackey and Judd, my radio co-host and podcast co-host, Judd Zolgad. So we've literally reviewed like 70 action movies from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. The Rock was one of the first ones we did. But dude, The Rock, True Lies, all those movies from that era, freaking amazing. So Con Air. If you want to hear us doing an hour-long breakdown of The Rock or Con Air, it's on that podcast.
I'm gonna go find that because dude, I loved those old 90s action flicks. Like, they're so good because it was like before CGI. And so, like, the actions was like the car chases were real and the cars blowing up were real. Like,
put the bunny down.
Put the bunny in the box. Oh. My daddy's coming home on July 14th. Oh, I love it, dude.
That's great stuff, man. So, all right, dumb football questions. Good batch of them here.
I think
today.
Are we like 3 days away from actual football? Is there a game on Thursday?
When's the Hall of Fame game?
I think the Hall of Fame game
that's this week,
Thursday.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's so we'll actually maybe have some film to break down. I mean, I doubt it because
so Caleb's not playing. The Bears aren't playing starters or Caleb Williams.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes isn't going to play because he's in it, right? The Chiefs are in it. It's the Chiefs Bears, right?
I think it is Chiefs Bears Hall of Fame game. No, Texans. Bears
Bears Texans.
So CJ Stroud's probably not playing.
No,
that's okay. We don't need starters to break down film.
Let's break down some film. Let's see.
Let's break down second half film. Let's break down fourth quarter film.
That'll be great because we can piggyback it off what we talked about a few weeks ago. How it's just a disaster, right? Like let's go watch fourth quarter preseason week 1 film, and we'll show you what we talk about when we say everyone's sitting there going, "We're gonna get cussed out."
We should, man. Be throwing these third stringers under the bus for content purposes, but that's okay. It'd be tough love here. Yeah, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and the like button on the O-Line Committee YouTube channel. And also, when you give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple and Spotify, it also helps go a long way to grow the show. And go tell a few football-loving friends about your friends Jeremiah and Alex and Phil here on the O-Line Committee.
See you next week.
All right. A graphic description of Jeremiah's piss test is what we all came for here today.